At noon, state health officials are reporting Hawaii's first death of a child from the flu of the current flu season. DOH says the child was a Hawaii County resident with underlying medical conditions, and medical and exposure history pointed to seasonal influenza as the most likely cause of illness. Now, this case is not believed to be associated with the recent wastewater detection of H5 in Hilo. No further information about the child is being released. Health experts say Hawaii has seen an increase in respiratory disease activity as we enter the holiday season. They say flu activity is currently low but increasing. RSV activity is at a medium level and increasing, while COVID-19 activity is low and stable. Police say they're learning more about what the accused killer of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson knew before the day of the attack and what he allegedly did right after the shooting. Lilia Luciano reports.
Investigators say they have discovered evidence suggesting Luigi Mangione knew UnitedHealthcare was hosting its annual investor conference in New York City before the shooting. The NYPD tells CBS News there is no indication that Mangione was ever a client of UnitedHealthcare. Officials believe the company may have been targeted due to its status as the largest health insurer in the United States. Meanwhile, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has begun presenting evidence to a grand jury as they try to extradite Mangione from Pennsylvania to New York. The delay, a possible strategic move by his defense team.
Not waiving the extradition does buy them a little extra time. They now have to wait for Governor Hochul to issue that warrant, and it just gives them more time to prepare their defense.
All this while Mangione remains detained more than 200 miles away. Luigi Mangione is being held in this state prison in Huntington, Pennsylvania, under maximum security. Prison officials tell CBS News that he is in a cell by himself, but not in solitary confinement, that he does not get to interact with other inmates, and that he has not become violent. Also, the NYPD tells CBS News that during his time in detention here in Pennsylvania, he has not made any incriminating statements to investigators. After biking through Central Park and taking a cab to the George Washington Bridge bus terminal, authorities say Mangione didn't leave the city, but actually returned via subway down to Penn Station in Midtown Manhattan, just a mile away from the crime scene. Now investigators are looking into whether then he traveled by train to Pennsylvania. Lilia Luciano, CBS News.
On Kauai, the visitor who went missing while swimming on the North Shore has been identified as 32-year-old Lauren Cameron of Anchorage, Alaska. Officials say Cameron entered the water at Hanakapiai Beach on Wednesday at around 3 p.m. and was swept into the ocean by strong currents. Police, fire, ocean safety, the U.S. Coast Guard, and the State Land Department are all responding. Anyone with information about Cameron is asked to call KPD. An HPD officer has been arrested for a felony crime. Officer Kelsey Messmer is accused of unauthorized entry into an apartment. Now, she has not been charged, but the 7-year veteran of the force is currently assigned to the traffic division. Sources say she was off duty Thursday afternoon when she allegedly broke into her tenant's unit at Harbor Square in downtown. Messmer is also part of a separate internal investigation into questionable DUI arrests. This is a picture of her from a body camera video in January when she arrested a driver who was not drunk. We're hearing from one of the victims of former youth basketball coach Dwayne Yuen, who pleaded guilty yesterday to 12 offenses that could put him behind bars for the rest of his life. The counts include sex trafficking, coercion and enticement, child pornography, exploitation, and harassment. Ben Gutierrez has the story.
I told them it was the best Christmas present ever.
MMA champ Ilimale McFarland says she found out from agents on the case that her old Punahou basketball coach and tormentor, Dwayne Yuen, was finally pleading guilty after preying on middle and high school girls for nearly 2 decades.
I kind of have always said that just the fact that he even got caught and that he got arrested and, watching him get arrested by the feds and watching him walk away in those handcuffs was very, very validating for me.
Federal prosecutors say Yuen had 10 victims from 2005 to 2023, and all of them were athletes that he coached at various schools or on private club teams. The feds say he had physical contact with several of them. Others were subject to anonymous and obscene communications.
I do know some of them, and we do keep in touch. Like, we were basically forged in the fire, and we have each other's backs.
The 51-year-old has been detained since his arrest last year. The U.S. attorney says Yuen could face up to 144 years in prison. Punahou School also settled numerous civil lawsuits this past summer. McFarland's was one of them. She hopes she'll have a chance to speak to him at his sentencing in April.
I would tell him that every single day that he has to wake up in a cell and live the next X amount of years in that cell, to remember me, because I'm the one that put him there. Time's up.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
On Hawaii Island, police are investigating a set of shocking crimes. A woman says she was assaulted and tied to a beam, and later her dog was beaten to death with a hammer. 41-year-old Henry Tangitao of Puna has been charged with the crimes, which include felony abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and cruelty to animals. Now, it happened on Tuesday at a home on Alapai Street in Leilani Estates. The woman says Tangitao punched and strangled her before restraining her. She told police she was let go, but later on, Tangitao allegedly hit her dog on the head multiple times with a hammer. The woman says she was also hit when trying to stop him. Tangitao's bail has been set at $18,000. Well, do you recognize these robbery suspects? This man dressed as a UPS delivery driver is accused of trying to rob a jewelry store in Kaneohe at gunpoint. HPD says this woman was his accomplice and pretended to be a customer Tuesday morning just before 10 o'clock. They fled in a silver minivan after workers pressed an alarm. Call Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen with any tips. We have new details now on a crash that seriously injured 2 teen boys in Waipio. HPD now says they ran into a police vehicle. It happened at around 9:30 last night on Kauka Boulevard. The 14 and 17-year-olds were on an e-bike at the time and were told they were not wearing helmets. Both were thrown to the street in the crash. Both suffered multiple cuts and abrasions. The officer was not hurt. The IRS is providing more help to wildfire survivors. A new penalty relief payment for nearly 600 impacted Maui taxpayers has been announced, which will equal an average of about $500 per taxpayer. Because of the wildfire damages at the post offices, the IRS was unable to mail balance due return notices to those Maui and Hawaii County taxpayers who filed between August last year and the end of January 2024. But now the failure to pay penalties are being removed. It'll be automatic, and those who already paid the penalties will be issued a refund or a credit. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi is in a Luxembourg hospital. In a statement, her office says the former Speaker of the House suffered an injury while on a bipartisan congressional trip to the small European country. The lawmakers are there to mark the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. Now, the injury happened during an official engagement, but Pelosi's office did not elaborate. Several sources say she fell on stairs. Her team says she is receiving excellent treatment from doctors. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump heads to Maryland this weekend for the Army-Navy football game, where he'll be joined by key players in his incoming administration. Erica Brown has the latest from Washington.
Donald Trump's inner circle will gather on the sidelines of one of college football's greatest rivalries. Those expected to join the president-elect's suite at the Army-Navy game include Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, as well as Elon Musk. Plus, Trump's embattled pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who has been fighting for support on Capitol Hill.
And I'm going to be supporting Pete for the nomination for the Department of Defense.
Absolutely. And Senator, just grateful for the time, for the opportunity, for your commitment to defense.
Pennsylvania's John Fetterman was the first Senate Democrat to meet with Hegseth.
I'm going to follow the process. I'm going to listen to what my colleagues on the other side continue to say.
While those meetings continue, at least one Senate Republican has said pressure is building to fall in line with Trump's picks.
The approach is going to be everybody toe the line. Everybody line up. We got you here, and if you want to survive, you better be good.
One of Trump's longtime conservative critics is bowing out.
That's that, guys. You never have to see me again.
Senator Mitt Romney held his final news conference before retiring from a 2-decade political career.
I'm a narrow slice, if you will. What we used to call the mainstream Republicans, the stream has gotten a little smaller. It's more like the Main Creek Republicans now.
President-elect Trump returns to Florida after the Army-Navy game. In the coming days, he's set to have dinner there with the widow of the late Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Increasing reports of drone sightings in New Jersey and now New York and Pennsylvania have residents rattled and lawmakers calling for action. Bradley Blackburn has more on the mystery.
They say it's not a bird, it's not a plane, but it is a topic of conversation and concern.
What the heck is going on?
Increasingly, more reports of drone sightings over the East Coast, and most recently Staten Island, New York. Elected officials pointed the finger at the federal government.
I don't believe that the United States of America, with its military capabilities, does not know what these objects are.
For weeks, residents in New Jersey have seen the mysterious objects overhead.
We saw blinking, like lots of blinking things up in the sky to the south, right over the ocean.
Thursday, National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby said the government has not been able to corroborate any of the reported sightings and said there's no evidence they pose a security risk.
Many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
But Friday, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy wrote a letter to President Biden expressing concern and asking for federal resources to figure out what's going on. And the senators from New York and New Jersey signed a joint letter to the FBI, FAA, and Department of Homeland Security.
If you don't know whose it is and who's flying it, you have to take it down.
Now, residents in Indiana are seeing them, and Connecticut, too.
This is like the 5th I've seen.
Friday, first responders in New Jersey headed out in daylight to investigate a possible downed drone, but left the scene without recovering anything. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Happy Aloha Friday. Thank you very much. Here we go with your headlines. More sun for Kauai. We'll have more showers for Hawaii Island. Not going to be anything heavy of the lighter variety, but still yet more rain for Hawaii Island. The winds will be slowing to regular trades in the surf. Small this weekend. They'll be bigger by midweek. Coming up in a little bit, I'll give you your full forecast. We'll take a look at the numbers on the waves and, of course, your 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Billy. Ahead on This Is Now, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands breaks ground on its first rental high-rise for Native Hawaiian beneficiaries when residents are expected to move in. Plus, the woman who sparked outrage with a controversial comment about the Hawaiian language says she's standing behind her statement. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. A groundbreaking ceremony was held this morning for a historic housing project in Mo'ili'ili. Hale Mo'ili'ili is the first rental high-rise to be built for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. The 23-story tower will have 271 units exclusively for Native Hawaiian beneficiaries on DHHL's waitlist.
This project is going to be a place for over 278 families. It's very, very exciting. It's very, very momentous. And this project, though, represents more than bricks, mortar, and steel. It is a symbol of a collective commitment to address the needs of our lahui. As we break ground today, we also break barriers that have for too long limited affordable housing and access to resources of our Hawaiian people.
The construction site is the former home of the Stadium Bolodrome Bowling Alley. Work on the $155 million development is set to begin this year after a $60 million federal loan was secured. Officials expect residents will move in the year 2027. A woman who sparked anger at the Honolulu City Council by calling Hawaiian a dead language is doubling down. Mahealani Richardson spoke with a testifier at the center of the controversy.
Kai Lawrence's comment that Hawaiian is a dead language was fiercely condemned by city council members, Hawaiian civic clubs, and others.
Umi makahiki. My 10 years were outside of the state of Hawaii.
At Wednesday's City Council hearing, Kapua Keli'ikoa Kamai of Wai'anae testified in Hawaiian and then translated into English. Then Kai Lawrence was next to testify. There were some audio challenges, and then she made the shocking comment.
I'm not sure what language it was. I'm assuming that it was Hawaiian, and that is a dead language, so it would not work on translator.
Her comment was rebuked by several council members.
It is not a dead language. It's very much alive. And if it wasn't for the fact that those who helped to overthrow the Kingdom of Hawaii banned our language, we would be speaking only Hawaiian now. So please learn your history and be very respectful when you come to testify at the City Council.
In a mea apau, I can speak Hawaiian in this meeting and in any other meeting that I choose to speak it in. And yes, my kids did go to Hawaiian immersion and we speak Hawaiian in our home and it's not dead.
I do want to note that Hawaiian and English are the official languages of the state of Hawaii.
It's not an alive language, it's a dead language.
Lawrence, a realtor from Florida, has lived in Hawaii for 10 years and works for Hawaii Republican Action, an alternative news site. She doubled down on her comments.
So then I went and I looked and I Googled and it said it was a dead language. And I was like, oh, it must be Hawaiian.
But you know that Hawaiian is not a dead language.
They're trying to revive it.
How can you say a language is dead when there are 20,000 speakers in the state, according to UH Manoa?
How many people speak Latin?
Kili'ikoa Kamai says she feels sorry for Lawrence.
Most people here in Hawaii have heard Hawaiian. And so how can you call it dead? Now we're talking not only ignorance, but we're talking bias and racism. And that's the thing that our people have been fighting from the get-go.
Now, during our interview, Lawrence complained that she couldn't hear part of the testimony as she was in the queue online. We asked the Honolulu City Council about that, and a spokesperson said the testifiers should be able to hear audio from the meeting when they're getting ready. Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Mahea. Now to a consumer alert, more than 230,000 bottles of an antidepressant are being recalled. The medication contains levels of a chemical that could pose a cancer risk. Now, the medication, duloxetine, was sold by Rising Pharmaceuticals. The FDA has classified it under its second most severe risk level. That means it could cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences. Well, let's take a live look outside with our tower cam looking over Aloha Tower. It's a beautiful day out there on this Aloha Friday. Billy V is going to have your full forecast in 2 minutes.
Happy Aloha Friday. Thank you very much. Here we go with your headlines. More sun for Kauai. We'll have more showers for Hawaii Island. Not going to be anything heavy of the lighter variety, but still yet more rain for Hawaii Island. The winds will be slowing to regular trades in the surf. Small this weekend, they'll be bigger by midweek. Coming up in a little bit, I'll give you your full forecast. We'll take a look at the numbers on the waves and, of course, your 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Billy. When we come back, a new sake that's literally out of this world and the astronomical price tag. We'll be right back.
Happy Aloha Friday. Thank you very much. Here we go with your headlines. More sun for Kauai. We'll have more showers for Hawaii Island. Not going to be anything heavy of the lighter variety, but still yet more rain for Hawaii Island. The winds will be slowing to regular trades in the surf. Small this weekend, they'll be bigger by midweek. Coming up in a little bit, I'll give you your full forecast. We'll take a look at the numbers on the waves and, of course, your 7-day forecast.
All right, it's time for some good news now. A Japanese company is going where no sake maker has gone before. That's space. So Asahi Shuzo, the company behind popular Japanese sake brand Dasai, they plan to blast ingredients to the International Space Station to ferment a very special brew. The difference in gravity could actually affect how heat transfers in fluid, causing a different fermentation process in space than here on Earth. Now, if it works, just 1 100 milliliter bottle will be offered for sale on Earth at, get this, 100 million yen. If you do the math, and we'll do the math for you, that equals about $650,000. And now check this out. An adorable bear cub is capturing hearts at a zoo in China. Jun Jun, an 11-month-old brown bear, is known for his playful movements and fluffy fur, often compared to a puppy. Now, he was born at the Shanghai Zoo, and since his introduction to visitors back in July, he has gained worldwide fame on social media. Many have noted his resemblance to Duffy, a popular Disney teddy bear. Very, very cute. And here's some more advice. Eat your beans. That's actually the tip of the 2025 Dietary Advisory Committee, which has now placed beans and legumes to the top of the recommended protein list. Meat, including lean meat, moved to the bottom, and researchers say beans have fiber and, of course, less saturated fat. Before we say goodbye, we want to give you one last look outside with our tower cam. Gorgeous conditions there on this Aloha Friday. Everyone have a safe weekend and have fun with your families. And of course, stay tuned right here to Hawaii News Now, your only Hawaii News Now first at 4, coming up right here on KHNL. Aloha.